Well, first I want to thank you for your patience if I haven't gotten back to you immediately. I was away leading a retreat in Costa Rica this past week, a yoga and meditation retreat, so I had limited access to email, limited access to phone. But hopefully we'll take care of your questions here today. And again, thank you for your patience in that regard. Now, we do have a number of questions. Some of them are easy, some of them are hard, or just a little more lengthy in regards to the explanation, which is as it should be. And we'll just jump right in. So the first question that we have deals with meditation and whether it has to be completely dark when you meditate. And my response is always that it's up to you. Some people can meditate in full daylight, doesn't bother them. Some people have to have it completely dark, otherwise they're distracted. So in the beginning, if you're easily distracted, sure, meditate somewhere where it's dark, or early in the morning before the sun comes up. That can be helpful. I have a friend that I meditate with often who really likes it to be completely dark, which means when we get together and meditate, the dark blinds are there, the room is as if it's 5 a.m. in the morning, and it could be noon. So whatever you need, do that. And in time, as your mind gets stronger, or your consciousness gets stronger, you're able to hold it on a point, you're able to meditate, whether it's dark, whether it's light, whether your eyes are open or whether your eyes are closed. So just do your best and kind of have a progressive plan of further internalizing your attention, whether it's bright or dark. Next question was about Kechari Mudra. What I think about Kechari Mudra, whether I do it and whether it's necessary. Well, Kechari Mudra in Kriya Yoga deals with taking the tongue and rolling it back so that the tip of it touches the soft palate in the back of your mouth, or just where the bone ends in the top of your mouth. And some people take it so far as to say that you need to cut the part that holds your tongue down to the bottom part of your jaw so that it can roll back and go up into your nasal cavity. I don't necessarily think that's necessary. Maybe I'm missing out on some blissful awareness that I'm not aware of by doing that, but my meditations are all right without doing that. And what I find is that I naturally always roll my tongue back and gently touch the back of that soft palate there. It just happened naturally. So it is a very natural thing. Do I think it's useful? Yes, I would advise it. Do I think you need to go so far as to, again, cut that part of your tongue so that you can stick your tongue up in the nasal cavity? If you're really into that, have fun, do that, see how it works for you. But I don't think it's necessary. But Kechari Mudra, the easier form of just touching the soft palate, definitely do that during meditation. And that's when you're doing your Kriya pranayama, when you're sitting in the silence, when you're practicing self-inquiry, your attention is internalized, the tongue is rolled back and gently touching the soft palate, and you just meditate in that way. Question number 3. This question comes up a lot, and I've experienced it when I've done initiations or worked with people. Have you ever heard of people practicing pranayama, experiencing headaches and dizziness and so on? I have. And one of the things that really comes up is too much warmth. The person gets overheated, it seems, sometimes. And when you're doing pranayama, you want to take it slow. So if you start to feel dizzy or like you're getting a headache or overheated, just stop, back off, sit in the silence. In time, theoretically, as you purify the energetic body, the channels within the energetic body, these distractions such as dizziness and heat will dissipate. But you want to be gentle with it and move through it, again, progressively. So a little bit here, a little bit there, until you can do a little bit more. Now, if this is a serious issue, don't hesitate to talk to your doctor, because we don't want to be doing practices that are causing problems with us, with our health. Just like when we do Kriya pranayama, it's not recommended to do that Kriya pranayama while you're menstruating, while you're pregnant, or while you're ill, sick, tired, or emotionally disturbed, because the body needs to do something there. The energy flows need to move in a certain way. The prana, the apana, needs to move in a certain way to bring you back into health. And if you're practicing Kriya pranayama and pulling all that energy current up, you're not giving the body a chance to do what it needs to do. So when it comes to dizziness, headaches, warmth, excessive warmth within the body, just go until you're comfortable, sit in the silence. And in time, you'll be able to do more and more pranayama comfortably. All right, so some other questions we have here. So what happens at Kriya initiation? Does one have to pledge allegiance and devotion to a guru, such as Yogananda? What happens if you don't? Is there a consequence, and do you somehow lose out on the full benefits of Kriya? Well, this is a loaded question, because everyone has their ideas. Every guru on the internet, every guru with an organization has their idea about this. This is what happens when you go through Kriya initiation, generally speaking. First of all, it is a ceremony in which you pledge for yourself that you are making a new beginning, to be devoted to your spiritual practice, to engaging a process that will help ripen your consciousness so that you can know what you are at the core of your being, so that you can know what peace is, and so that you can be that infinite consciousness that's beyond the body, the mind, and our history. That's what it first of all is. Second of all, during initiation, the techniques that you are learning become empowered. If you learn something from someone who's been practicing the techniques and gotten results, well then, when they teach you that, they share the force of those techniques. It's, for example, in martial arts, a lot of times when you learn from a teacher, it's not just about the technique. It's about learning from someone who's mastered a particular thing, because if you learn it from that master, then you take on that energetic imprint, so it works for you easier. Same thing when they recommend using mantras in astrology. It's recommended that you don't practice a mantra unless you get it from someone in which that mantra has been awakened in them, meaning that either they got it from a teacher who it was empowered through, or they practiced it enough that they unlocked it within themselves. So this is really an energetic thing. When you're going through initiation, if you learn something, it has to be from someone who's had the direct experience. If not, you're just learning a technique. It's just information being imparted. And that's fine too, because you can practice it enough that you unlock it. You work with it yourself. God is everywhere and in everything. So there's no reason to think that you're going to be left out just because you didn't have the good luck or merit to meet someone who already had this awakened within their consciousness. So in a sense, that's what happens during initiation. Does one have to pledge allegiance and devotion to a guru? That depends on the guru. And it also depends on the organization. Certain organizations require that. If you want to be a part of that organization, fine, do that. What happens if you don't? Well, you're not going to be accepted into the organization, probably. Do you somehow lose out on the benefits of Kriya? I don't think so. Actually, I'm pretty sure you don't. I know you don't. I've seen so many people want to practice Kriya because they've read Autobiography of a Yogi, or they have, it's a new thing for them. They jump from TM to Kriya to whatever it might be. And over the years, I've paid attention, and I've noticed that people who simply understand that if you take the technique, if you take the lifestyle recommendations, if you have devotion, if you are committed to your own personal growth, that you get the full benefits. I've known plenty of people who are devoted to their guru, and that's all they talk about is their guru, but that's all they do. They're just riding on the coattails of their guru. They never actually put into practice what they learn. And so, does that person benefit? On some level, sure. But I've seen the most clarity coming from those people who sincerely just want to practice and who are sincerely committed to the process themselves. Whether they're dedicated to a guru or God or whatever their ideal is, as long as they are dedicated to it, the results come. So you want to make sure that you're not putting off your liberation and your spiritual growth on the fact that you are part of an organization or that you have a guru, because that can be a trap just like anything else. And it's hard to determine which is which, or what is what, I suppose, in that regard. So is it possible to receive Kriya initiation in some way other than in person? Maybe via telephone or Skype? I don't know. I would imagine you could. There are plenty of teachers out there that got initiated in a dream. So if you can get initiated in a dream, why not get initiated through telephone or Skype? But I have to say, I've never initiated anyone through telephone or Skype. I've never known of anyone who's done that. However, I know there are other ways to empower people through distance. There are various forms of distance healing that I've done. It seems to work. There's no distance in time or space between us if we can get beyond that in our mind. So is it possible? Sure. Have I done it before? No. Do I know anyone who's done it before? No. If you want to experiment, we can have an experiment. It's always possible. But the person who asked me this, I remember when I did respond to this via email, typically when I do initiations with individuals, since I do travel a lot, I work with them, I talk to them on the phone or via email, get to know them, see if it's a good match, if I have the sense that they're dedicated. And then whenever I travel, if I'm near them, then we set up a time to get together and go through the initiation. Or if they happen to come through my neck of the woods, then we can set up a time for initiation. So there are ways to do it, and sometimes we have to be patient. For example, there's a few individuals that have contacted me recently, and they live very far away. But I know I'm going to be visiting that part of the country later on this year. So we've set up a plan for them to follow in preparation. And then when the time comes, we'll get together and go through the initiation process. But telephone or Skype, not sure. Worth a try? Who knows? It might work. Number 3 in this particular list. Is it okay to read the writings of books of the many different teachers? Yogananda, Daya, Donald Walters. Are they different or the same? If you read them all, will you become confused? Do different people teach a different form of Kriya? How are they different? Well, I have to admit, I've not read too many other people. I've read a lot of Yogananda's work. I've read what is available from Sri Yukteswar. I've read all the books of my teacher, and I've read the commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita through Sri Yukteswar and Lahiri Mahasaya, which I just adore, especially Lahiri Mahasaya's commentary on the Gita that's available. Will you get confused? It's very possible because, I've heard about some of the things a lot of teachers say, and some of them are just silly. Like talking about, well, let's not go into that, but some of them are just silly. So if you find that you are devoted to a certain teacher, just stay committed to that teacher. The key is that you find the person that best serves you. You don't want to get in a relationship where you're doubting what they're saying or you're always questioning them, because that's annoying for both parties. You'll find the right person for you. And you don't have to worry about who's the best teacher, because when you start getting, as I've mentioned before, when you start getting into that kind of thinking, well, then all you're doing is comparing teachers and you're wasting your time rather than spending your time in meditation contemplating God or contemplating the infinite. So ideally, find someone that you resonate with. Learn from them. If you derive benefit from what you learn, continue the process. Because just like all the different religions lead to one particular experience, all teachers, even though they might have a different slant on something or a different way of approaching something, they'll all lead you to the same space, the same place, if you follow it to the end. And final question. Looks like there's 2 more maybe. If one reads the works of the teachers from India, Lahiri Mahasaya, Sri Yukteswar, haven't they been translated from English into another language? Does something get lost in the translation? I imagine so. Anytime you translate from one language to another, especially from Sanskrit to one of the Indian languages to English and so on, something's going to get lost. So that's inevitable. That's just the way it is. But again, if you use your intuition, if you have trust, if you use your discernment, you can usually figure out what they mean. Some people would take issue with that, but that's been my experience. As Kriya passes from teacher to student, are small changes made in the practices? For example, when Yogananda came to the USA, did he make changes to what his teacher taught him? I can't answer that because I don't know what his teacher taught him. I'm assuming it's the same thing, but I was not there to learn from Sri Yukteswar, nor was I there to learn from Lahiri Mahasaya. I learned from someone who learned from Yogananda. And there are a number of branches of Kriya Yoga, each with a different slant, and most of them claiming that they are the original Kriya. And that's fine if they want to do that. I really feel like I'm getting off on this point a lot here, but I'll have to leave it alone after this video. Consciousness evolves. Just like the sciences evolve, just like our understanding of personalities, our understanding of religion, culture evolves. Anything that doesn't evolve essentially becomes stale and dies. It isn't able to give its fruits anymore. So to think that something that was applicable 200-300 years ago, the essence of it will be applicable, but how it is implemented might change a bit. The interpretation might change a bit. So I would like to encourage people to think of this Kriya path as an evolving path. And I would like people to think of all the different Kriya traditions as part of a larger family. So let each family member do what it needs to. If you feel that you need to go clear back to the original teachings of Lahiri Mahasaya, and you believe that you can do that, or that someone in this day and age has that exact original thing, that's for you. If you've read the works of Yogananda or his students, and you very much resonate with that, and you've practiced them, and you've seen the results occur, that's for you. Maybe you'll be meditating, and you'll realize something, a slight variation on a technique, and you implement it, and it makes all the difference in your practice. Well, implement it. Don't stick to tradition for tradition's sake. Trust in the process of your own life evolving in God in this divine consciousness. And follow what works. Again, a good friend of mine who I meditate with often, he always says, you can't argue with results. And that's very true. So if you're not getting results, keep searching, keep looking. If you are, move forward, embrace it. Let your own path unfold before you. If you need the guidance of a teacher, of someone who has experience, find it. There are plenty of them out there. If you don't like one, go to the next one. Now you want to make sure you're not just being difficult and just jumping from one to the other because you don't like you don't like the consistency of what they're saying. You know, for example, meditating every day, eating your vegetables, thinking positive thoughts, these sorts of things. If you don't like that, well, that's a totally different story. But just don't get caught up in all this who's better, who's best. Follow what resonates with you. Again, a lot of people will take issue with this, but if you follow what resonates best with you, you'll find peace, you'll find yourself, and you won't be wasting time wondering who's best, who has the original practices. And you'll move more fully into a state of grace and peace, and that is what is important. That is ultimately what is important. And final question. Does involvement in Vedic astrology enhance the practice of Kriya Yoga? If one does not understand Vedic astrology, does one lose out on some of the benefits? Not at all. You can practice Kriya Yoga without knowing a thing about Vedic astrology, without ever having a Vedic astrological reading. Vedic astrology just gives you some ideas of who you are as this incarnated being and how to work with it best. Vedic astrology is a science of self-knowledge. And if you don't have the objective capacity to know these things for yourself, then you have someone tell you and work you through them, which is what a Vedic astrologer does, a good Vedic astrologer does. But, you know, with Kriya Yoga, let's see here, I don't have my book in front of me, but with Kriya Yoga, we have to remember the original definition in the Yoga Sutras, that it is austerity, practice of learned personal mantras, and surrender in God or surrender in this divine infinite consciousness. That's Kriya Yoga. And you don't need astrology to do any of that. If you trust in yourself and in life and whatever comes, and you do your best with it, then you are engaging the life process. If you're confused and you need some help from time to time, a teacher, a guru can be helpful, so can a counselor. A Vedic astrologer can be helpful. So look at astrology more as a planning tool, a self-knowledge tool. Just like you would go to a financial advisor if you want help with your finances. You can go to a Vedic astrologer to get help with learning out those little quirks that you have to deal with, those things that you might have to move through and realize about yourself, those things you have to grow from. So Vedic astrology is an additional tool. It's not something that you have to have. If you're curious, it's helpful. But in my mind, even though I am a Vedic astrologer, I would much rather see people focus on their prayer and their connection to the divine as they see it, focus on their practices to clear their mind, their exercises to strengthen their body, their efforts to improve their relationships, to be of service to the world. I'd much rather see them do that than get all caught up in astrological influences or what this astrologer says or what that astrologer says. Because if they do that, they are affirming that they believe in this wholeness of life, that they are supported in it, that they are supporting it. And that's actually probably the highest aspect of devotion that you can have, to trust in life, to trust in yourself, to trust in God. I remember Ramana Maharshi, it was one book I was reading, it might have been Talks with Ramana Maharshi. He said that a lot of the problems that people have is that when they surrender in God, they want God to do everything great for them. They don't want to surrender wholeheartedly, which means to the good and to the bad. They just want to surrender to the good. And if you're going to surrender, you just surrender. It's not based on good or bad. It's learning to see the divine in all things, which is one reason why at the end of meditations, a lot of times, when I lead a visualization with groups, I have them visualize people, the earth. I have them visualize people that they like, people that they don't like, people they don't even know, so all of them, and see them in this wholeness of God. So it goes beyond your own personal preference. Yeah, so those are my thoughts on the Vedic astrological aspect. It's a help. It can give you insights, but do you need it? No. Just like if you can manage your finances well, you don't need a financial advisor. So it just depends on how are you, how together do you have it, and how much coaching or counseling do you need. All right, so hopefully this has been helpful. We've covered a lot of things. Some of it you might already agree with, some of it you might not agree with at all. Either way, it's fine. The best thing to do, though, keep meditating, keep reading your spiritual, inspirational literature. Don't worry about what other people do. Focus on your own connection with God, the divine, yourself, and always ask, what can I do, or what do I need to know to be more fully present with myself, to be myself, to know myself fully as this wholeness of life. If you focus on all those things, none of these other dramatic or difficult or political things will matter too much to you.